Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Igloo Cinema, and this week I'm going to be reviewing Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, starring Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, and a bunch of other guys. Oh, Alec Baldwin. Oh, and Jeremy Renner. There we go. It's starting to come back to me now. Yeah. So, Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. This is the fifth installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, with Tom Cruise being back, Simon Pegg, Rhames, who wasn't in the fourth movie, but I believe he was in the first three movies, so he's back. And Jeremy Renner's back from the fourth movie, and we have a new female lead, Rebecca Ferguson, replacing, I don't remember what her name was in Ghost, what the actress' name was who played the girl in Ghost Protocol. I'll put it right here, but we have some new people and some old people, and yeah, before I do this review, I want to talk about what I thought about the other movies. And the thing is, I've only seen the fourth one, so I can only compare it to that one. But judging from the critical reception from all the movies, it seems like the last two movies, Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, have been doing relatively better than the first three. And I can totally understand why. I mean, the fourth movie had great action, great pacing, great actors. The missions were relatively impossible, so it made the struggle for Ethan Hunt to complete those missions even more engaging and ever more satisfying when he does find some way to beat the villain or complete the mission. So with those elements, it made Ghost Protocol really good, and I think they took the best elements from that movie and they put it in this one, with a new story and same and old actors and different actors. But I do think that the fourth movie is a bit better, and I'm going to explain why. Rogue Nation is still a good movie. The action is great. I think they stepped it up even more with the action. Some of the set pieces, what you've seen from the trailer, when he has to jump into that whirlpool thing, it seemed pretty much impossible, but Ethan Hunt does it, and the way they film the action is very engaging. The plane scene, because Tom Cruise does his own action stunts, it really translates through the screen because you really feel like it's happening because it did happen. He was on that plane, and it really encapsulates you into the action. The car chases were great, very fast paced, very actiony. But I also love the comedy that's sprinkled on top. Just like in Ghost Protocol, Simon Pegg delivers the comedy full force. Even Tom Cruise engages in some comedy. Jeremy Renner, Rhames, but they don't do too much of it to overshadow the corny, cheesy action that is Mission Impossible. But I really appreciate the comedy sprinkled on top. Very excellent combination. The acting, great as always. Tom Cruise, what can I say? He's great action star, great drama star, great everything. Simon Pegg, great for comedy, great for drama. Everyone does well in the acting department, especially Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Ilsa Faust. I thought she was brilliant. She really knows how to encapsulate the old Bond girl, classy style, but also combining that with, a badass action female lead character, if you know what I mean. And she blends those two really well, so it makes her a very interesting and very cool female lead in this movie. Much better than in Ghost Protocol. And again, I don't remember her name. She was alright, but I feel like Rebecca Ferguson really steps up the plate in this movie. So on the acting front, the characters really good. Ethan Hunt is as cool as always, and but the story isn't really character driven. It's mostly how the characters find ways to complete the mission and how they interact with each other, and in that aspect is really good. I feel like the pacing is kind of one of the issues I think that makes this movie not as good as Ghost Protocol. In that, in Ghost Protocol, from beginning to end, the pacing was really well done. They tell you A to B to C to D, what the characters are gonna do next, what the mission is. From one country to another, there's no lag. There's no filler. You know, it's just bum 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 bum. Here's what happens. Blah 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 blah. And you follow it relatively easy. But in this one, I feel like in the beginning, the pacing could have been a little bit better. It definitely does pick up in the middle, and even though the beginning was okay, but it could have been better. Especially in this opera sequence that they have in the beginning of the movie, I feel like that was a little bit too slow, coupled with some of the dialogue I felt was a little bit too much, a little bit too corny. And I understand, like I said before, Mission Impossible is supposed to be corny. It's supposed to be over the top, cool action. But I feel like the dialogue was a little bit too cliche, the CIA being like, "Oh, the IMF is too reckless. You guys, don't follow protocol. You guys are out of the line, man. I'm gonna shut you down." And I felt like that was a little bit too much. So with that coupled with the opera scene and just a few touches here and there that made the beginning pacing a little bit too slow is what makes me think that Ghost Protocol is a tiny bit better in that aspect. But the movie towards the middle picks right back up with the awesome impossible missions and the awesome action. So I can't really fault the movie too much for it, but the beginning is a little bit too slow. And speaking of dialogue, though, I did feel like the villain was a little bit too cliche as well. He wasn't that interesting. The villain in Ghost Protocol wasn't that interesting either, but in this one, he was just a little bit too... I don't know. I wasn't really feeling him. Every time he was on screen, every time he talked, I kind of cringed. I mean, it's like he's talking about, oh, I used to, because he was not really a spoiler, but the villain used to be with British intelligence, and he's like, oh, I used to kill people for this reason. Now I'm killing people for the right reason, and like his objectives, his reasoning, and his dialogue was a little bit too corny, too cliche for my taste. But the villain still has its moments here and there, and you really do feel the dread at some points in the movie where it's like, oh my god, how is Ethan Hunt gonna get out of this situation? This villain is like a million steps ahead of him, and this villain thought of every single thing that Ethan Hunt would think to do, and then trumps him over it. So there are some aspects where the villain is very threatening. You really feel the dread. But in other aspects, he's a little bit too corny, and his dialogue was a little bit too corny. But overall, the villain was, he was decent. He was all right. But other than those two things, I felt like the movie itself was just great. I really loved it. And I also really liked how Ethan beats the villain in this movie. In the first one, I mean not first one, in Ghost Protocol, it was very actiony. He's like chasing him, they're fighting, blah blah blah. And this one is not as actiony, but it's more strategic, and I really like that. They really varied the way they beat the villain. It could have easily been another crazy action scene very similar to Ghost Protocol, but they didn't go that route, and I really appreciate that. They went another route. Ethan doesn't have to beat the villain in this certain way. Let's do it this other way. And don't get me wrong, there's still action before that, but essentially the way he beats the villain is a lot different, and I didn't expect it. Totally from left field. So I really appreciate that. That worked really well too, and that also plays into the impossible mission, because this villain is like he's so impossible. Like, how is he so many steps ahead of Ethan? But then of course Ethan finds some way to be the villain, and he does it, and it feels so satisfying. So in that aspect, I really liked it. And just overall, Mission Impossible is what you would expect it to be. Fun action, great pacing, great actors, Tom Cruise doing awesome stunts, crazy missions where you sit there and be like, what the hell, how the hell are they going to do this? And they explain why the missions are so impossible. And I feel like that's a really good thing about this movie as well. Telling you the mission is impossible is one thing, but if you don't explain to the viewer how it's impossible, what the certain layout is, what aspect of it is impossible, it doesn't really engage the viewer. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, if you say so. But because Mission Impossible explains the mission, explains the scenario, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can totally see why this is kind of impossible. Let's see how Ethan gets out of this one. So that's what I really like as well. And yeah, overall, I think it's not as good as Ghost Protocol, but still definitely really good. I really feel like the Mission Impossible series can only get better from here. And it's a rarity in this day and age where the 5th movie in the franchise is better than the first one, better than the second one, better than the third one. And although not better than the fourth one, the 4th and 5th one, their leagues they're so good, and like it's like Mission Impossible has turned over a new leaf or something, and it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's the same actor, and I can't wait to see what they do next with these movies. Tom Cruise, great producer, he knows what he's doing, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, that's it for my review of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It's time to give my score, and I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Fantastic movie, great action, like I said, great pacing, great acting. Could have done better with a better villain, and the pacing in the beginning could have been a bit better. But other than that, the movie overall was great. I really enjoyed myself. So that's it for my review of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. If you guys watched the movie, please give your comment down below. Tell me what you think. You liked it, disliked it, why or why not. Also tell me what you think of my opinion about the movie. Agree with it, disagree with it, why or why not. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, please like it even more, please favorite it, like it even more, please share it. Subscribe to this channel for updated content. Also subscribe to our personal channels, I have stuff there too. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next Black Couch, Igloo Cinema, Trailer Box, or whatever. Peace.